welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm super psyched because we're gonna be talking about the wonderful Natasha Denona new Zendo palette. This is my summer mood pretty much. I hadn't been excited about makeup or eyeshadows in a long time. I had literally been going through Sephora and Ulta trying to figure out which palette would be like my next pick that I would use and add to my collection, but nothing would inspire me. And then Natasha came out with this and it was love at first sight. It was colorful, it was different. It did remind me a little bit of the Urban Decay and the Born This Way palette, but they are different. They have different shades. I love the fact that she included some pastels and those specific shades like this red or that green that I don't have in my collection. And just overall, I feel like this is very harmonious as is. So I've decided to really go deep in and give you guys a good palette review. I'm gonna do some swatches, I'm gonna do 2 different looks, and I'm gonna give you guys my full-on review. So if you wanna know a little bit about this palette and all that it has to offer, then just keep watching. Okay, so this palette is $65, which I find that is honestly a steal because Natasha Denona is known for her very, very expensive palettes. I've never tried those more on the expensive side because it's just too much for my budget, but I've heard really good things about the $60 palettes. The quality remains the same, which I really very much appreciate. Also, the palette brings 15 shades, so that's actually a really big size. You can also see that it has a huge ass mirror. Honestly, the same size as the one that I have that I use all the time. Like, it's really good and it just feels very sturdy. It smells luxurious. It looks luxurious. So to me personally, it already feels like it's worth the $65. It's honestly beautiful, beautiful packaging, like this reflective top. I don't know, like I'm just in love with this packaging and the shade range is just beautiful. I'm actually gonna do some swatches, but I'm gonna do that at the end of the video just to not bore you with the details. That can be a little bit slow, so I'm just gonna jump right in. I'm gonna try to do 2 looks that take in as many colors of the palette as possible and then tell you guys what I feel about that. Okay, so I already primed my eyes and I'm gonna start with the shade Relief, which is a nice pink tone. I'm gonna play with this side of the palette now, and then the second look is gonna be this side of the palette. Now I'm gonna use the shade Balance, and as you can see, it is a tad powdery. Like when I went in, you can see that there's plenty of shadow around. It doesn't really bother me, but it's something to keep in the know. So I'm gonna use this one now. Okay, now I'm gonna use the shade Bigger, which is the red shade. Something to keep in mind as well is that these shades are very, very pigmented. So some shadows, you know, they can take a little bit to intensify or to blend out. These, I find that they blend pretty well, but they are very intense. I was not expecting to get like such a dark shade right away. It's gonna show up really quickly, so that's something to think about with this palette. Like if you're new, for example, it might be a little bit difficult to play with, but if you're good with blending, then you're fine. Just keep that in mind. And now I'm gonna play with the metallics. I'm gonna go in with the shade Sense, and then to kind of make it a little bit colorful, I'm gonna go in the shade Aura more closer to the inner corner. And then I'm just gonna darken with Mindful. So I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is what the eyes are looking like. I'm going to actually do the rest of my face so that this looks more put together. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way things are going. I love the inner shade, the shade Aura, this one, because it's duochromatic. So depending on where the light hits it, it might be gold or it might be orange. They're very pigmented. There was no fallout, absolutely. My face, it has a little bit of pigment from the dark shade Mindful, which is this one. I have a little bit of spectacles here, like, but just very, very little. Aside from that, there was absolutely no fallout, which is wonderful. Okay guys, so face is done and I'm gonna finish off the eyes. I already put a little bit of the Urban Decay liner in, I want to say copper. It's a copperish color that feels like just goes very well with the eyes. I'm gonna highlight my inner corners with the shade Luster, and then I will pretty much do the same thing underneath the eyes as I did at the top. Just gonna reflect absolutely everything, and that's gonna be it. Okay guys, this is what the first look ended up like. It's very red, very intense, and honestly, I'm in love so far with this side of the palette. It's just very pigmented, very blendable. The metallics are beautiful. It was just very easy to play with the makeup overall, so I'm very pleased. I've got no complaints, and honestly, the shadow looks amazing. So yeah, just take a peek at it. Okay, you guys, so for the second look, I'm gonna go on to the other side of the palette, which is gonna be these greens and blues, which honestly were my favorite part, because if you've been following me on Instagram mostly, I think I've spoken how much pastels and colorful shades are gonna be my like summer theme. And I feel like this hits the spot, especially with the peachy shade and the green shade. I just really love it. I'm actually gonna start with the shade Breathe, which is this light green one, and I'm gonna pat it at the inner corners of my eye, and then I'm actually gonna take that same shade and I'm just gonna kind of use it as a transition shade as well for the other side of the eye, which I'm gonna deepen with the shade Mantra, which is this dark green shade, and we're just gonna see how that goes. Okay, since I don't know where this is going, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm actually gonna blend this away. I got curious. I'm gonna actually take the shade Seal, which is this like military green, and I'm gonna apply that onto my crease very lowly because I don't want this to be muddy, and I'm gonna see where that takes me. I'm actually gonna even take something thinner, like a fluffy brush, but even thinner, so that I don't make it messy. Okay, so clearly that brown is super intense, and that's the thing with this palette. Things are very pigmented, so either you have to be super duper careful or you're just, you know, great at blending. I'm not, so I just went in and did the whole kind of like a liner situation here. I didn't want to like take it off and go back and forth, so I changed my mind. I will leave it like this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the shade Flow, which is this nice blue, just because I want to test out as many shades as possible, but I want to keep it somewhat simple, right? So I'm just gonna take my finger and I'm gonna pat it a little in the middle, just to give it a little bit of glow to the look. See, it's like you get a little sparkle, but it's not too much, since honestly these blues don't blend, like the metallics don't blend as much with that pastel, but I think it works. You can look into this. It starts with a pastel blue and then, you know, that electricity, and then just like a deep brown. So since that went that way, I'm gonna actually finish off this eye, and I'm actually gonna use Yama as my inner corner. I'm just trying to use as many shades as possible. Okay, I really like the way this turned out. I feel like it's very wearable, it's very blue, and it's very summery, kind of into it. So I'm gonna actually do my face again. Yes, because every look has its face, right? And then I'll be back to do the lower eyes and then just give you a full-on review of the swatches I promised. Okay guys, now that I've finished the face and I'm all, you know, glowy, I'm gonna finish the eyes. Just wanted to tell you guys that there was absolutely no fallout, which was amazing. You know, you'd expect, especially the pastel was so powdery, like right where when I touched it, it made a dip, and it didn't translate onto my face at all. I didn't have to clean my face before I started. So that was really cool. Like absolutely on this side, there was no fallout whatsoever. So just because I'm really curious, I'm gonna take the shade Mantra, which honestly calls my name so bad. I'm gonna line my waterline like just below it with it. I don't want to close the eyes, but I really want to touch this shade. Okay, so I have this perfect liner. It's an honestly outdated and I think discontinued liner. I can't even see the shade at this point. Fast Lane. I've never seen it on the website ever since I bought it, but it's the same shade as the eyeshadow. I'm gonna line my eyes with it because it's just gonna tie up everything. Okay, so this makes perfect sense. I really like the way this ended up looking, so I'm just gonna apply some mascara and give you guys my final thoughts. Hey guys, I'm back, and honestly, I have a couple of opinions. So just final thoughts. Just like I said, the right side of the palette is powdery except for this one red. It's very powdery. The metallics are very, very intense. And for this side, it was all good except for the pastel. The pastel breathed. It was fine. And then I walked a little bit and it set on my eye when I moved my eye and I did like this. When I opened up my eye, it had creased all over. It didn't bring any fallout, but you can't see the lines. I'm gonna give you a quick preview of that. So that was kind of disappointing. I know that pastels can be a little difficult to work with, but if ColourPop found a way to make pastels good, which they did pretty well, then how come Natasha Denona cannot figure out a way to not make her pastels crease? No hate, but that's the reality. But other than that, it was good. The only thing that I didn't like about the shade Mantra, which could have also been my fault, is that I did not set my concealer and I did my under eye, and then it just kind of like, again, I walked around a little bit and it just kind of like faded into the concealer. I've used other shadows, granted they're not colorful shadows, under my eye, and they don't move, so that's something to think about. Again, I believe this shade on the lids must be amazing, must be beautiful, but just letting you know what happened. Other than that, this palette is beautiful. I love the color story. It has so many colors to play with. I feel like it's very versatile. You can use a million different combinations. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give it a solid 9 out of 10 because it's pricey. It's very pricey, so I'm expecting every shade to work perfectly. Other than that, it was awesome. This side didn't have any fallout. I believe just a couple of shades had it, but it was really fine, especially for me since I do my eyes first. So yeah, 9 out of 10. I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm gonna do the swatches so you can see them up close, and other than that, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it insightful and helpful when it comes to choosing this palette or not for your cart, and I hope to see you guys soon. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, I know I said I was done, but as I swatched, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the shadows and how I guess I was a little bit underexcited because I just swatched the latest shade Mindful, that brown one, and this green one. Those two are so buttery smooth. Also, I didn't mention that Yama is actually duochromatic, so when you look at it, it's pink, but when it reflects, just like on my inner corner, it is gold. So that's really cool. I didn't really think of that. So yeah, I love this palette. The metallic shades are delicious and to die for. I love it. Okay guys, now I'm done. Bye.